What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to RBL Weekly. The regular season is approaching. It's almost here. I'm very excited. I am also the commissioner of the Roast Battle League, Pat Barker, joined as always by the host and creator of the Roast Battle, Brian Moses.
Good to be here. 2 weeks left. I'm excited. I can't wait for this season.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, two weeks left of the off season. Now, if you're watching this, you're looking at your calendar. You're like, hey, you said March 1st, so the season should be starting in 3 days. What's this 2 weeks thing? Well, here's the thing. Yeah, the season starts March 1st. That's when the battles begin. That's when everything counts for the league. But we need to give these guys a week to build up their battles and send things in. So the first official RBL Weekly of the season will drop on, I believe, March 11th. That way these guys have a week, to get some battles under their belt. So we got 2 more off-season episodes. We are trudging to the finish line before the start of the regular season. Love it.
March Madness, roast battle goodness.
Yes, it was a busy week for us. Before we get into this week's episode of RBL Weekly, we went a little bit viral online for a Belly Room episode. We discovered a very weird and fun kind of B-room, like in the middle of the mountains last night. You and I went out to a sleepy mountain town and we went to a comedy club inside of a bed and breakfast. And it was the greatest roast battle crowd I've ever seen. And now we're like, this has to be the new spot. We have to lure battlers out to the mountains to perform in Rightwood, California.
Yeah, they're going to think we're like serial killers because it does have hills have eyes kind of vibes out there. But that might be one of the best rooms in Southern California. We went out there. It's a little ski resort town near Mountain High. And yeah, Rightwood probably had the best. I did 3 battle shows this week, LA, San Diego, and Rightwood had the best crowd. I mean, it's not that big of a room, but it feels like a studio audience. I mean, it felt like an arena in there.
Dude, it was unbelievable. It's crazy how, like, when you're in LA, there's so many, like, entertainment options, and the people are so jaded, and they've seen everything, and they're too cool. You say that all the time. You always tell the audience, you're not too cool to be here, but they think they are.
Yeah.
You get to Rightwood, they're like, we are not too cool at all. This is the coolest thing we've ever seen, and they react accordingly, dude. It ruled.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back. I can't wait to do more stuff there. Can't wait to get all of our international battlers to that mountain town and then skin them alive.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. The funniest moment before we move on from Rightwood, the funniest moment was they had laughed at everything the entire night. The final battle went into overtime, and the setup to one of the jokes was Toby is a liberal, and a hush fell over the crowd except for one woman who audibly gasped. She was like,
Our producer Cody he had to cover his mouth because it was the funniest thing. Literally, these people didn't. Yeah. They're. I hate to say this. They do kind of live under a rock.
Yeah,
they are on a mountain, but they do. There was a woman in there like, even before that battle. She was like, I can't believe people are still saying this. This is so cool. Because, we're the show that lets everything kind of fly for the most part under consent and boundaries. Yeah. And last night, everything was going right. And then, we heard pedophile jokes. We heard, sexual assault jokes. I can't say the R word, obviously. And a bunch of other things. Homophobic slurs, Hispanic slurs, all the cool stuff you can hear on Xbox Live, right? And then we get to the last battle. Barry Montoya, very funny battle. You've seen him on this program. He says, hey, Toby here is a liberal. Whole crowd they almost like it was a hush fell over the crowd and a woman audibly gasped as if literally somebody got shot.
And then Toby tried to do his last joke, and this crowd, which had been the most supportive crowd all night, he started getting booed and heckled and shit. So we're going to have to, we got to make a rule. Like, you're not allowed to call your opponent a liberal.
Not up there.
Not up there. It's unfair. It's a cheat code. But yeah, he called him a I can't say that word, right? All right. Yeah.
But he did. In that same battle, I think he used all the things in that battle.
You know what I said. The point is, he said all that, and the crowd was like, "All right, well, it's not too big of a deal. What's the problem?" And then liberal, they were like, "Oh my God, skin him alive."
That they were offended. I've never seen just like this show is offensive. I cannot believe they brought that to this town.
It was great. Yeah. It was great. Do you want to address the roast battle episode that dropped this week? Got picked up by a few news outlets. There were a few internet, commentaries on it.
We love the legends of stand-up comedy, and they're always invited. But when you come into hell, you can't act like the devil.
That's right. That's a bar right there. And if you guys know what I'm talking about and you want to see the full uncensored version, it is available on our Patreon, patreon.com/RBL Battles. I had so many people tell me, like, who joined the Patreon this week and then, like, fell in love with it. Like, there were people who joined just to see that uncensored thing, and now they're in the Fantasy League.
Oh, let's go.
And we're doing, like, a hangout tonight, and they're coming for that, and they're like, I didn't even know this thing was here. So we do a very bad job of promoting the Patreon, but it is very, very cool. Patreon.com/RBL Battles. Memberships start at $5 a month. Definitely get on that. I promise it's worth your while. And if it's not, you can cancel at any time.
Dude, what's up with the Fantasy League? How many people are there? I mean, I'm excited to see how many people have signed up for this thing to go through the season and follow your favorite battlers and learn about your favorite battlers. And then, just like those are your lead horses. Like who do we got? How many people?
We got 25. And
that's crazy.
If you join now, it's too late because we're doing live we had to split it into 3 separate leagues.
Wow.
And we're doing 3 live fantasy drafts every night this week. I told my wife, I'm like, hey, at like 5:30 every night, I have to go run a fantasy draft on Google Meet. And she's like, why are there 3 of them? I'm like, because too many people signed up. You can't have 25 teams in the same league.
I know.
Because then it's like, who's the 25th best battler in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, dude, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. I also
Thank
loved,
you guys.
Yeah, last week's episode where we drafted our teams here.
I mean, listen, I got to hear this weekend from a few battlers in the community. They're just like, hey, man, I think Moses might have the most dangerous team. I got aoda, I got DeHerm. That's really all they said.
That's all you need.
That's all I need.
You got aoda and DeHerm. You're good. I had a couple battlers hit me up like, thank you so much. I promise I won't let you down. I'm like, you can. It's not that serious. It'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I get it. This is Rebecca Jaffe flex, by the way. That's...
All right, well, let's get into this episode. And one of the most difficult things about having a 4-month-long off season is finding different ways to package, episodes and talk about things that we haven't talked about before. We've said so much on this podcast. Show you battles that maybe you haven't seen before. Most of the stuff is available online, but like maybe you haven't seen it in a while. Maybe you haven't seen it at all. So what I wanted to do this week, last week we showed Jay Light versus Doug Fager from 2015. Filmed on probably an iPhone 2, filmed vertically, and there were people in the comments who were like, this is great. Do you have more of this? Now, we don't. We don't have a lot more of it. I wish we did. But I did think it would be cool to dip kind of into the bucket of like old battles and show a couple that you might not have seen in a while. And the premise for this episode is dream matchups. Past versus present. So we're going to watch 2 quick battles for each one, a battler from the past, then a battler from the present, and then we will debate afterwards who would win that hypothetical matchup. And we're going to start with one that actually I think could be a realistic matchup in the future. I think this could happen at some point, and I would love to make it happen, but let's take a look now and discuss the idea of Keith Carey versus John aoda. Keith Carey, 2-time Roasty winner for Battler of the Year here in LA. Doesn't battle much anymore. And then, of course, you got John aoda, 3rd place in the world a couple years ago. One of the most popular battlers in the league. We're going to watch battles from each of them. We're going to start with Keith. This is a classic throwback in the belly room many, many moons ago. This is Keith Carey versus Robin Tran. Here it is.
Robin, Keith, let's just do it. Let's go! Look, I know every Asian comic does an impression of their mother on stage, but I feel like Robin is taking it too far.
Keith has always been in terrible shape. The only time he was ever cut was from Comedy Central's Road to Roast Battle.
Inside baseball and an 8-year-old reference at this point, but man, that's a good one.
Look at Robin's fucking cheeks. At least when she chops her nuts off, she'll have somewhere to store them for the winter.
Oh, he's so good. Randomly switching to vertical. Oh, yeah. Dude, it was chaos back then.
Keith, your ex-girlfriend
She's
went on a
feeling
date
it
with
now.
Quincy Jones. So she wanted to go out with a comic who would outlive you.
Another very inside and dated, but
Quincy has cancer, just so everybody knows.
Robin transitioned
Yeah.
and became a feminist blogger because if anybody understands the plight of the modern woman, it's somebody who's been one for like 6 months.
Keith once broke his entire closet door frame when he tried to hang himself. Keith, you're literally a fat failure in a broken home who should have stayed in the closet.
do not comment about the wave in the comments. We know you hate them.
Some people say
Stop it.
transgender
Leave us
rights
alone.
are a slippery slope. But with Robin's greasy Asian face, she is literally a slippery slope.
That's a slur we don't hear often enough. Bring that back.
Oldie but goodie.
On 9/11, Keith missed a flight that crashed into the World Trade Center, which means that he is personally responsible for killing the 2 people who took his seat.
It's one of the best roast battle jokes in history.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the ones that, all right, well, that's one of the ones that stands up to the test of time the most. Like, you hear, and I think a lot of people, when they think of that battle, remember that joke specifically, but man, and look, we could do a whole Robin Tran. You're going to see a lot of Robin Tran this season. She's actually back. She's participating in the league. Like,
welcome back, Rob.
Yeah, she's going through her like renaissance right now. But I wanted to highlight that battle because it's the classic Keith Carey one. He loses, but does amazingly. And people kind of forget because like the best joke was against him. But that highlights what Keith does, has the battle of the night every single night, every time he performs. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. Now, I also feel like that applies equally to his hypothetical opponent here, John Aoda. So we're going to pull up a battle right now. This just happened in the New York tournament. They're running a tournament. Their season opener is going to be the finals of this tournament. Now, Aoda actually ended up losing in the following round, the semifinals. So the finals is going to be Josh Lampley, who defeated John Aoda. Sleeper pick in New York this year against Andrew Manning, who just keeps battling and winning, doesn't slow down at all. It's crazy. But this was a quarterfinal battle, and I showed you one joke from this last night because I was like, you have to see this. Let's watch the whole thing now. This is John Aoda versus Charity Gregory, who we saw a couple weeks ago in a Hartford battle. Let's check it out.
Anyway, Charity's mother is a clown and her father is a mime. So, you know, it's always nice to see another biracial artist. Charity is a clown by trade and a woman by technicality.
You know, John would have been a clown, but he kept putting the red nose on his forehead. John Aoda's parents never had him circumcised because it goes against Indian culture to give a tip.
You know, Charity is her real name. She's named after where she gets her clothes from. And listen, I know I'm not the most stylish guy on the planet, all right, but at least I'm not dressed in the official uniform for at-risk LGBT youth.
Thank you, Alex Trebekistan. So John was a magician and an Indian, so when he does a trick, he asks, "Is this your card information?"
Hey, you guys want to see something cool? Check this out. Hold on. Give me the thingy. Give me the thingy. Hold on. Check. I practiced this really hard. I might need your help for this.
I'm not touching that. Your technique is wrong.
So that's what you do with comments. She's already dead of cancer.
That is my impression of Charity giving a hand job. That's what you're saying. Yeah. How do I do it?
Yeah, keep it going for the Big Bangladesh theory. So John aoda has never swallowed his pride because he's too busy swallowing cum at Pride.
Yeah, I'm Indian and Italian. What are you, gay and ugly? All right, yeah. You racist bitch. Charity's a birthday clown, but how come you're always running out of the blackface paint first, you know? Tough gig guarding the whites-only bouncy castle.
He keeps calling me gay. Like, I'm gay, I'm short, I don't work. I never thought I'd had so much in common with John's penis. John rode an elephant during his wedding, and then he rode another one during his wedding night.
You know, when I first read Charity's name, I was honestly shocked to learn that you're white. Charity Gregory. I thought you were... Charity sounds like the name of a stripper that you make it rain on with food stamps.
Thank you, kid at recess who says, "You can't kill me, I have a force field."
Oh, sorry.
So, John, I know you're not a Navajo Indian, you're more like a Taj Mahal monitor, but doesn't John seem like when he goes hunting, he always uses all parts of the stripper?
Thank you. Unoriginal joke structure. Okay. Look at you. Your hands are trembling. Okay. Let me do one of my jokes like Charity does. All right. Thank you, Ronald McDonald's pubic area. Charity has 2 sisters. Gift and donation.
John aoda, you menopausal, weak-chinned Best Buy cashier. You know, most Indians pray 4 to 6 times a day, but he's half Italian, so he only prays on 4 to 16-year-olds.
Listen, guys. A man goes to the doctor and he says, Doctor, I'm depressed. Nothing works. Life is cruel and the future is vague and uncertain and I don't know what to do. The doctor thinks for a moment and he says, the solution is simple. The great clown Pagliacci is in town. See him and you'll cheer right up. Then the man bursts into tears and he says, but doctor, I am Pagliacci. Then the doctor says, oh, in that case, Charity's mom will blow you for $20.
We'll finish this up. John has to get back to doing dirty talk in MLA format. So John's father actually abandoned him to start a second family, and I brought some pictures of his half-siblings. Take a good look first. Take a good look. You can pass that around. And of course, Indian Oompa Loompa. And both of them are more successful than John.
All right, before we get into Keith Carey versus John aoda, real quick, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Charity Gregory this season because technically it's like dual citizenship.
Oh, really?
For a little while. Well, we had to make a rule like what constitutes a minor league or the WRBL. What constitutes a WRBL battle? We're really going with that. It's great. Versus an RBL battler, and we're doing a cutoff where if you have a certain number of RBL battles, you can't score points for the minor leagues.
Okay.
Charity technically does not have a single RBL battle. Everything she's done has been in the offseason, so she's going to qualify for both until she hits that number of RBL battles, at which point she will lose her eligibility in the minor leagues. So she could score points for the minor leagues and win Rookie of the Year this year. She's great.
It's like a two-way contract in the NBA.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like she's playing the G League and she's like Bronny.
Exactly.
Like Bronny James.
Except way better at what she does than he is at what he does.
I'm no comment. I want him as a guest on the show.
Fair enough. So let's get into the actual meat of the argument here. Keith Carey versus John Aoda. I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'm gonna do the Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith thing. I'm gonna argue whatever you say.
Okay.
All right.
But Charity Gregory, she's gonna be really good. Yeah. I mean, honestly, she should be like a factor this year. I think if she battles anybody else in that tournament, she might have won in that round, but she went up against that buzzsaw that is John Aoda. All right, let's get into it. The Keith Carey versus John Aoda argument and this dream matchup that actually might become a real scenario. Keith is a 2-time Battler of the Year. He came in the golden era during the roast battle when everybody was coming up and you could see all these old jokes back from 2015 to 2018 and how sinister those were, and that guy might have been the cream of the crop out of all those guys who came around. But John Aoda is something different I haven't seen in this since I saw Keith lean into being kind of straddling what John does now, which is he's very mean, but he's also got very good joke structure, and he's willing to take risks. Keith was very thorough, didn't really take a lot of risks. If he did, they were calculated, and he knew he could still probably lean into something he knew was going to work. Like Pat was saying earlier, Keith may have won or lost, but for the most part, every battle he was on was battle of the night on the show. Every card, it was always, okay, Keith's gonna give us an A+ performance, and his opponent is probably going to give them an A++, right? Which isn't even on the scale. But as far as like both of them going against each other, I think because Keith is so consistent and he knows how to lean in to what the crowd wants, he is a big target. But because John takes such big swings, it's a hit or miss. I'm going to have to go consistency and go with an original classic in Keith Carey. But John is, I mean, obviously this is go 50-50.
You hit me with a big swerve at the end there because I don't know who, we didn't plan this. No. So I didn't know who he was going to pick. So I thought you were getting ready to go for Aoda, so I'm working on my Keith Carey counter argument, and then you flipped it on me. So now I gotta pivot. I gotta take Aoda, and here's why. Here's why I'm gonna take Aoda. Mm-hmm. And I say this as somebody who thinks that Keith Carey is the GOAT, the #1 battler of all time. I don't even think, frankly, it's up for debate at this point. A few years down the line, when other people have stronger resumes, could be. But for now,
Keith is the logo.
Keith is the logo. Yeah, absolutely. The Shield was modeled after his body type. But no, I think Keith is the greatest to ever do this. And I think he would put up a valiant fight. What John Aoda is best at, and why I would be so excited to see him versus Keith, is because Keith has so many different angles to attack, and he's done so many battles that you think you've heard every possible joke about him, about all of those angles. Aoda is the most outside-the-box thinker. That balloon animal shit, what he did to Jack Weiler at the mothership. This guy is Aaron Gordon. He did the Malia Simon rebuttal where he had an audience member read it.
It's 7 different alternates.
Yeah, in different pockets. Oh. It's spooky. He's the boogeyman. Mm-hmm. And he's Aaron Gordon in the dunk contest. You know what I mean? Where, like, look, Michael Jordan killed it in the dunk contest, but I guarantee you he was watching Aaron Gordon jump over a mascot and put the ball under his legs and being like, whew, it's different now.
It's different now.
It's different now. Aoda is the king of it's different now. And I think I would love to see what creative approaches he takes with Keith. You give a guy who has that many creative angles the biggest target possible, and there's no telling what kind of masterpiece could be painted there. I also think that one thing Aoda is great at is finding what his opponent is insecure about. This, to me, would be the key to the battle because Keith seems like the kind of guy who's not insecure about anything. Keith is the most comfortable person in his own body I've ever met. But we all have something deep down. Something that if another person said it, it would fuck our whole day up. Nobody's better at finding that than Aoda. So just knowing how big of a target Keith is, how creative John can be, I think it would be an incredible fight. But and also Aoda is getting up there 10 times a year right now. Keith is getting up there once. Ring rust could be a factor. I'll take Aoda for the sake of argument. I think that Aoda, the one thing I think we can both agree on is that battle would be absolutely incredible.
It would be
incredible. And we have to make it happen.
Yeah, just because you're right. I was saying this last night to you about Aoda, just because I asked Pat, I was like, would you ever battle him? He's like, of course not. No. This man's going to make me feel things I'd never felt about myself. And that's, Mike Lawrence had that. He was really good at pinpointing what your most insecure thing was, and then just leaning into that and just leaning on it and just hurting you. Like, are you gonna pop this zit or are you just gonna sit there on it? I mean, that's Mike Lawrence, and that's aoda is like he's torturing you as if he's in Guantanamo Bay. I was saying this to Pat last night. I was like, aoda is like those old Nazi soldiers. They would basically go topless and shieldless in the face and just sword fight. And you're going to get hit. You're going to get slashed, but that's just to make you stronger. And so if you do get hit, you're not going to be stunned in battle when you do get hit if you got to go combat to combat with swords. These guys are nasty like that, and that's aoda. He's like, oh, no, we're swinging swords at you. We're going to get hit, but I want to take your head off. And that's aoda. He wants to legitimately make sure you don't do stand-up after this. You want to walk out of that building thinking, I don't know if I should be doing this ever again because that guy just told me exactly why I shouldn't be doing it. He's a therapist in all the wrong sense of the word.
Yeah, well,
he's a psychiatrist.
I feel like you just made my argument for me.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, honestly, it's hard to, because I've seen Keith probably lose more than I've seen him like dominate and win because he's got such a big target.
Yeah.
But he does make everybody better, and that's why I think I'm going for Keith, because it's like, he would elevate John's game so much. John would ultimately take the title of GOAT, because you're like, I don't know how you did that to Keith, because nobody's done that to Keith.
The funny thing is, win-loss record-wise, they're both kind of similar. And, we're preparing a fancy graphic to throw up on the screen here, but I don't have the stats in front of me, but I believe Keith is 27-24.
Right.
And aoda on RBL battles only, because those are the only records I have, 10-7.
Yeah.
So they're both a little bit over 500, but they always have the best battles. I think it would be an insane clash.
Fest.
Yeah, that's my new goal. That's the one I want to make happen most this season. Let's move on to the next battle. Now, this is one of all the possibility of happening. If I put the first one at a 7, I'm going to put this one at about a 3. I don't think it could happen, but they're both in the same city, so who knows? This is Kim Congdon, a Hall of Famer, against Heather Keith, one of the best battlers out of Austin. So we're going to check out a couple battles, and of course Kim lives down in Austin now, and then we'll pick our winner after that. So the first battle we're going to watch is a classic from the Belly Room way back in the day. This is Kim Congdon, who now lives in Austin, versus another guy who now lives in Austin. Everybody lives in Austin now, Dan Nolan. And ironically enough, Dan Nolan is battling Heather Keith on March 16th at the Mothership. So it all kind of ties together. Don't bother trying to get tickets to that. It's already sold out. But we did add an earlier show that night, March 16th, 5 p.m. If you're in Austin, you can check that one out. Without further ado, Kim Congdon versus Dan Nolan. Here it is.
Dan Nolan, Kim Congdon, last battle of the night. Are we ready?
Kim's dating an NFL player right now, and they actually have a lot in common, because he's had a bunch of concussions, and she's just a dumb bitch.
Get him, Kim. Dan gained 100 pounds after he stopped doing heroin. Now he has hepatitis C cups.
Kim just voiced a cartoon on MTV. It was the first time she's ever been drawn to something other than black guys with money.
Coach T. When he was on drugs, they spent their date nights picking Oxycontin.
Holy shit.
Kim is a terrible comic. The only time she's had people slapping their knees, it was against the back of her thighs, because she's a gigantic whore.
I guess the only difference between us is I suck on dick and you suck on stage. really is.
Kim's got a really beautiful smile. She's only ever had one cavity filled, but it was her anus by a bunch of basketball players.
Thank you so much, Jeffrey Dahmer.
You're welcome.
No problem, the hills have 4 eyes. Dan looks like the only reason he hasn't shot up a school is because it doesn't fit in his veins.
Kim's football player boyfriend has had so many concussions, he keeps forgetting to beat the shit out of her.
That was really good, Thing of the Hill. Dan is a disgusting hillbilly. He looks like he dips his fingers in children.
Kim's taken so much black dick, her pussy gets accused of cultural appropriation.
Dan looks like his dog is the one who taught him about his peanut allergy.
Real quick before we get to the Heather Keith battle, shout out to Dan Nolan, who is legitimately one of the more clever writers I've ever seen do this. And in that battle, he's like, in between the clever stuff, I'm just going to call her a dumb bitch, a stupid whore, whatever he said. Yeah, he killed it on that one.
Yeah, he came as like his character was ultimate chauvinist. I mean, but that was before the Me Too movement, I think, and that was so much fun that you could laugh at things like that. I mean, obviously don't, but I'm saying that, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And Dan is the king of like leaning into if you're gonna do something overt like that and like do it to death. I mean, like if you're gonna beat a horse to death, do it like that.
Yeah,
because that's funny because you're doing a caricature of just like, I'm not like this, but I am. Fuck this bitch. It was just perfect.
Really, really good. Now let's load up a Heather Keith battle. This is Heather Keith at the Mothership. Last year, I think this might have been our first ever Mothership show. It was very early on. You could tell even the difference in production quality at the Mothership has gone up quite a bit. This is Heather Keith versus Colin O'Meara.
This is part 2. Let's roast!
Heather's an emo Mexican, which means she tried to cut her wrist, but she couldn't get the weed whacker to start.
Colin looks like he uses hair gel as lube. And then he uses his cum as hair gel.
Yeah. That's why it smells so good. I feel like if Heather's pussy could talk, it would only sing sad songs like Wonderwall. You know? Like, today is gonna be the day that I'm gonna stink up the room.
Colin looks like the dude from every early 2000s movie that secretly loves to fuck fat girls.
Yeah, you wish, dude. Damn. Heather looks like she has a sugar daddy who actually just gives her sugar.
Colin is an unlicensed barber, and his dad shot himself, so he's pretty used to people in his life wanting a little bit off the top.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, my dad killed himself. You look like you killed Selena, but yeah. Yeah, Heather actually broke up with her boyfriend because he wouldn't come with her to get an abortion. But in his defense, is he supposed to go with her to the bathroom every time she takes a shit? Like,
It's crazy. Your dad aborted his brains. Colin looks like he often quotes Ben Affleck and then goes, "That's a Ben Affleck quote. That guy's a fucking legend."
Yeah, he is. What are you talking? Yeah, that guy's fucking rules. Heather looks like she breastfeeds herself.
Colin looks like he often calls the cops and goes, "First of all, you're not better than me. Second of all, you're going to want to call an ambulance. I just beat the shit out of my girlfriend."
Yeah. In my defense, she was talking shit about Ben Affleck, so...
The awkward end. A staple. Okay. You first. Heather
Really?
Keith, Kim Congdon. Who you got?
Man, shout out Colin Lemire. That was very funny. I forgot about how funny that battle was.
Yeah.
And I miss those guys battling. All right, Heather Keith, Kim Congdon. Kim's done this a lot. She's a historic battler. Obviously, she's a Hall of Famer. But Heather Keith has done a lot of things recently where she won the Netflix festival last year. She wrote for Tony for the Tom Brady roast. She just knows how to write a hell of a roast joke. She knows how to stay in the pocket and just deliver her jokes. I've seen her lose some battles where she has a theme going. She's willing to take risks, right? So you kind of need that if you're going to be a really, really top-tier battler. So she's not afraid of those. And just the fact that she can put together very left of center punchlines, where Kim is kind of going for punnier things that are going to like really pop the room, references that people are familiar with. That way she can get lubrication to maybe do another riff or get into the joke that she wrote. Kim, I mean, she does have that off the cuff thing that Heather's really good with, maybe making more of an aside and maybe drier. You may not catch it till maybe after the battle or within like the battle maybe later. But because of that, I think I have to go with. I gotta go with Kim Congdon just because, like Keith, like they just know how to lean into what's gonna make the crowd laugh the most. And Heather and John, they like to take risks that may not always win the battle. So I'm gonna go with my two OGs in this one with Keith and now Kim Congdon.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously I'm gonna go with Heather. Here's the one cop out I'm gonna have before I give my answer. I think there's a very real possibility that if that battle went down, Kim would win in the room and Heather would win on camera.
Right.
I have seen Kim so many times crush in the room, and then you go to the comment section, and they're like when she battled in Tokyo last year, like she destroyed, and then the comments were like, "Oh, she just made like a bunch of black jokes because she battled Troy Lewis," right. Or when she battled Paige, it was like, "Oh, she just made a bunch of fat jokes," and like sometimes the shit that, like you said, she makes very accessible references. Which is a key to winning a lot. That's why Kim has one of the best win-loss records of anybody who's ever done this.
Right.
But I think when you get like more seasoned fans in the comment section, sometimes they want a little bit more. What I'll say about Heather Keith is I think Heather Keith bridges the gap perfectly between those two things. Her writing is not too smart or over the top or complex to where like it's not accessible to an audience, but it does have a little bit of an extra layer that usually they'll pick up on. I think Heather is also really adept at beating different types of opponents. Mm-hmm. Kim does specialize, and this maybe is not an argument for my side in this, but Kim specializes if she has a target like someone who's heavier or like a different race or something like that, which Heather is, so that would work to Kim's advantage. But Heather, from a writing perspective, can beat a number of different types of opponents. We saw her against Colin O'Meara there. Yeah. You know, when you look back to the Netflix festival, she beat Katie Kincaid. Mm-hmm. She beat, aoda. She's capable of beating a lot of different, types of people. And we've seen it at the Mothership. I think also the thing that might make this coin flip battle to me go a little bit more in Heather's direction, I think Heather is more likable. And I think Heather could really play up the I'm the fat kid at school getting bullied by the hot girl.
Yeah.
Watch me, get revenge on her right now. And I think if Heather tapped into that, and I don't think she needs to make much of an effort, I think she is instantly likable on stage. I think it could be a long night for Kim, because I think some of the things that she does so well in terms of like the fat jokes and everything like that might come across more as like bullying. It's like a psychological thing, where the moment you lose the moral high ground, it's hard to win the crowd. Like, for instance, I went almost undefeated for 3 years, almost entirely on miscarriage rebuttals.
Yeah.
Because I knew the moment my opponent makes a joke about my wife's miscarriage, a portion of the crowd is going to be like, oh, even if it's really funny. And then I could come in and be like, and just have whatever the rebuttal is, and then be like, oh, damn, he punched the bully in the mouth. You know
but
what
I mean, she does the best types of those jokes, right? Like, she did the best black jokes she could for Troy, and they were like top tier, top shelf black jokes.
Yeah.
The Paige one, that's a perfect example, because those were like some of the best, most accessible references for fat jokes you can find, and they didn't seem hacked. They seemed like, wow, these are really good. And I'm not saying I've heard these before, but like, oh, I could put these together. But she did it really well, right?
Oh, yeah.
So she does the theme really well. I'm saying. I mean, you're right though. I forgot about that Heather B, Kincaid, and aoda. I mean, like some of the best of the crop we have right now. So that is a great argument.
Yeah. And I think it's a really close battle. I think it's really, really close. But again, I guess I'll lean a little bit heavily for my closing argument on the ring rust. Mm-hmm. And to Kim's credit, she gets up once every 3 years and battles and kills it every time. So, it's hard to say she might have a little bit of that. But Heather's up there, battling a little bit more regularly. It could also depend where it happens. I mean, Kim is a seasoned battler in LA and New York. Maybe she would have a little home field advantage there. If it happened in Austin, that's Heather Keith territory.
It's interesting you say the thing about the moral high ground, because we just watched that battle between Dan and Kim. I mean, and Dan was just going in on just, using all of the chauvinistic, misogynistic tricks in the book. And I mean, especially when it comes to words and language.
But he was so silly.
Yeah, there is.
It was so silly. That's the thing about the miscarriage jokes, is they never came across as silly. They always came across as mean. Dan is up there with this big, grin on his face where it's like he looks like a toddler that's about to do the thing. Like my son, and you play around with it. You're like, hey, don't do that thing, and he's going to do it. And he has this big stupid grin on his face.
Right.
That's how Nolan tells his jokes, where he's like, this dumb bitch, and everybody's like, oh, I can't stay mad at this guy.
Right.
Man,
but that school shooting joke that's a Hall of Fame joke.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. She had a Hall of Fame joke against me, and we battled the first year. It was my first time at South by Southwest, and those crowds are really mediocre. And we had a really mediocre battle because of it. But she managed to hit a home run on her closer. It was something about Pat's wife had a miscarriage 6 weeks before their wedding, and it's I guess the baby wasn't the only one getting cold feet or something. I mean, yeah, I might have butchered the wording, but I just remember it being oh my god, dude. Yeah, she's really, really good.
Oh my god.
She's really, really good.
Wow. I mean, whatever the structure,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
But I'm gonna go with Heather Keith on likability. Just the same way. The more you were talking, I'm I think you made my argument for me. I might have just done the same for you.
Yeah. I mean, my God, Kim. Yeah. When she nails it, I mean, it hurts.
Yeah.
How hard she can hit it.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's go to the last battle here, and this one, of all the likelihood of it happening, I'm putting this one at a 0. I don't think it's ever going to happen for a couple reasons. Number one of the battlers lives in London. Number two, the other one has retired from roasting, has retired from comedy, has gone off the map a little bit, although popping up on Facebook this week, all of a sudden out of nowhere. Always glad to see that this guy is alive and doing well. He's the Bobby Fischer of roast battle. He is the legend himself, Eli Sayers. A lot of people in the digital era think he is the GOAT. Let's put him up against the RBL GOAT, the undisputed across 2 seasons. The MVP season 1 came in 3rd place in MVP season 2. Shalaka Corrupt. This battle will never happen, but boy, if it did, it would be a lot of fun. Eli Sayers versus Shalaka Corrupt. We're going to watch Eli first, and we're going to just the first round, because this is a 3-rounder, and we want to keep even playing field here. We're just going to watch the first round of him versus Chris Crespo, who has made his return to Roast Battle. He's battling at our showcase at the Comedy Cellar on April 6th.
That's my boy. Welcome back, Crespo.
6th. Yes, it's going to be great. Let's watch this battle right now. Eli Sayers versus Chris Crespo. Here it is.
Fight! Eli, I have a confession to make. I'm not really Christopher Crespo. I'm your son sent from the future to stop you from fucking your sister.
First blood.
This is what happens.
See, Chris, see, that's your trick. You know they love it when you make fun of yourself. And they're not laughing at you, they're laughing with God.
Excellent.
Now, Chris?
Well, at least I have an excuse why I can only type 2 words a minute.
Got me. Chris, your girlfriend left, your relationship is done. But you don't cry because it's over. You smile because you have Down syndrome.
Boom, shakalaka.
Eli cheers for the Crimson Tide, not the team. That's what he calls fucking his sister on her period.
Your head looks like it's full of Flint water.
I'm Cuban, but why does Eli look like he's fucked the whole Bay of Pigs?
That's true, Chris. You are Hispanic. Buenas noches. Man, Trump wouldn't like you. That dude hates.
An Eli Sayers staple, the misdirect into the punchline of just the F word. Mm-hmm. Love it. Yeah, obviously more to that battle. That's a 3-rounder. Look that one up online. It's a classic. All of Eli's battles are classics, man. That guy's resume is insane for how short, relatively speaking, of a time he was in the game.
He is the GOAT. I mean, I forget all the time. That's just come back, dude. We need you. I mean, you'd love this. You were built for this.
Yes.
Come back, Eli.
Yes.
We need you, Eli. The Mennonite Menace. We need the Mennonite Menace back.
Grab him on the waiver wire halfway through the fantasy season. Boo, buddy.
Him versus Alexis Fox.
That's your dream battle in a whole other way, huh? Well, let's look at his opponent right now. The 2023 RBL MVP, Shalaka Corrupt. This is her battle from the semifinals of the championship in our first season against Ryan Cullen. Everybody remembers that battle against Ryan Nesson was the battle of the night. I'm purposely taking the one that was the second place battle of the night in my mind because I haven't seen this one in a while and I'm excited to rewatch it. So here it is.
London, Scotland, let's roast!
Okay, so this unbearable is Shalaka Corrupt. Shalaka's glasses are so thick that when she looks at maps, she can see people waving back at her. Yeah. I checked out Shalaka's name on the internet. Shalaka in Hindi means God's honesty, which isn't that funny, but until you actually look at her second name, Corrupt, which in Hindi means, and genuinely, an ugly face. What's the Polar and Roaster? God's already fucking done it.
I do have glasses, and I wish I wasn't seeing you in HD. Anyway, this sickle cell anemic is Ryan Cullen. Ryan's so white, you can see his organs with a torch.
It's a flashlight.
Yeah, you fucking weird-looking fuck. Like, when E.T. phones home, Ryan picks up.
Shaka is an only child. I suppose one miscarriage is enough to put most people off trying again. Shaka somehow looks like both a maths tutor and someone who's about to be molested by a maths tutor.
This rotting corpse is Ryan Cullen. Ryan's a Catholic virgin. He gets hard when he's offered the body of Christ. The blood of Christ is what he calls tearing his asshole for the priest.
Okay, Bob's Halal Burgers. If you go onto Pornhub and click on the category Indian, not a popular one, and if you click on top rated on the filters and then scroll to the very, very bottom, like last page, and then scroll down to the bottom, Shaka is there advertising SIM cards.
Ryan sounds like a leprechaun but looks like a leper. Ryan looks so fucking ill. He looks like he comes in lumps.
Shaka has a PhD in trains. What else do you have? A master's in Lego, you fucking... What is it with you? Why trains? Was it just because like most of your family's usually clinging off the side of one?
This inside-out condom is Ryan Cullen. Ryan failed his driving test, so he's more likely to be caught trafficking than he is to be caught in traffic. He actually was questioned for sex trafficking, which makes sense, because he looks like Andrew Tate made out of paper mache. So,
Shaka is basically Velma from a Bollywood remake of Scooby-Doo. But the only thing that they investigate is her visa application and the disappearance of her career.
Jinkies. Anyway, this botched abortion is Ryan Cullen. Ryan is a racist asthmatic. When he puts his foot on a black guy's neck, he's the one going, I can't breathe.
There it is. Great battle. Two of the best to ever do it. Eli Sayers, Shaka Kurup. Go.
I'm going all OGs on this one. You got to go with. I gotta go with Eli Sayers. I forgot how great that guy was. I was even saying it after his battle there. He beat Dina Hashem when she was in the prime of her roast battle career. Dina, I thought, could never be beat. And then he beat her in a way I haven't seen. And she was really good with those nice, dry, just like perfect roast battle jokes. When I think of a roast battle, sometimes I think of Dina Hashem and the way she would construct her jokes. And when Eli beat her in the way he did and just how versatile he is. He can do dry jokes. He can do just original setup punch. He'll have a reference. He'll have a silly reference, right? He's very versatile in the way he can do things. He is, as like a basketball analysis, he can create his own shot. He can also defend, and he can go to the rim. I mean, it's just I've never really seen a battler like him, which is why he was the GOAT out there. And this disappearance makes him Bigfoot, and it's why he was so great. And that little glimpse right there, that one round we saw with him and Chris Crespo, there's no way I can bet against Eli Sayers. I mean, so good luck.
As you were talking, I realized I've had my sunglasses on my hat the whole episode, and I feel like a humongous douchebag. Please, if I ever do that again, somebody fucking let me know. We have Cody in here, the producer. We have Moses, and nobody thought to tell
We got lost in your eyes, Pat.
Fair.
We can't even look at these glasses. Don't make fun of the wave.
Don't, please. Leave it out of the comment section, guys. We know you hate them. Here's my counterpoint. Oh, you look so much cooler in those than I do. Here's my counterpoint to that, and I say this as somebody who I said Keith is the GOAT because of longevity and everything like that. I think in terms of peak and everything, Eli is the best to ever do it. I think he might be misremembering the Dina Hashem battle a little bit. He did win, but when you say when he beat her in that way, if you go to those comments, most people think Dina won that battle.
You're right.
I thought Dina won that battle, and I remember because Eli and I got into an argument about it when I was in New York one time. We went out, to now everybody. Cody's off camera wearing his sunglasses. God damn it, they're all trolling me right now. It's fine. It's fine. I'm cool under pressure. You don't have to. I'm gonna hold it together. Here's the thing about that battle. Dina did a very risky kind of thing in her second round. She used the entirety of the second round to play like an alleged voicemail, which she had edited together. She feels like, or the crowd and the audience online felt like she won the battle first and third rounds. Eli's counterpoint was, yeah, she got to move all her best shit to the first and third because she didn't actually do any jokes in the second. I understand that. But I think Dina won that battle, and most people agree with me. And that is why I'm picking Shalaka, because stylistically, I feel like there's no more similar battler to Shalaka than Dina. And I saw how Dina approached Eli, and how the majority of people think that she won that battle. Shalaka is, quiet and unassuming. Again, very, very likable. I think that for a lot of crowds, Eli's style might not necessarily translate in terms of how hard he went. You got to keep in mind, Shalaka's battled all over the world. Eli almost exclusively battled in New York. I believe the only two battles he ever did outside of New York were against Keith Carey in the Belly Room and against me at season 3 of Roast Battle on Comedy Central. And I think he was great versus Keith. Against me, I feel like his shit was a little bit too hard, and it kind of turned the crowd on him. So I think where this hypothetical battle takes place is a big thing. If it happens in New York, he's almost unbeatable in New York, even though some would say Dina Hashem did it. That's big home field for Eli. If it happens almost anywhere else, I'm going to take the likability of Shalaka, her ability to stack multiple punchlines in one turn. Also, the thing that she's the best at are those kind of like observational, inside-out condom kind of things.
That you look like, but they're not actually saying you look like.
This so-and-so is Eli Sayers, and boy, would she have a fucking field day with that guy because of how he looks, how he presents, where he's from, everything like that. I think she could line up 50 of those before the battle even starts, before she even starts writing the other material, and I think she could be in a pretty good position to win there.
But then he's just gonna go real hard with how Indian and
sure.
whatever is hot at the time and awful. Eli's gonna find a way to balance those two things and probably put them both into a joke. Yeah, you're right. I did forget about the Dina Hashem battle. And because I was even saying it earlier, like when I think of the perfect roast battle and the way they write their jokes, it's Dina. I usually get people say like, oh yeah, well who should I watch? I'm like, watch Dina Hashem.
Yeah.
She just does it perfectly. And I think because he won, I may not remember the battle because I've watched all of Dina's and they're the best. Mm-hmm. But I remember him winning. I was like, wow, I guess he is the best because he won.
Sure.
But also that is, back then it was like all dudes judging.
We watch so many battles that after a while you just remember whether or not the battle was great, which it was, and you might remember who won or one particular joke from the battle.
Correct.
There's a lot less of like, oh yeah, I remember. The reason I remember that one is because Eli and I got into such an argument about it. Yeah, I mean, look, with all of these battles, these are all literally like coin flips. I wouldn't be mad at anybody who says Eli would win this one. I completely understand that thought process. I would have to see where the battle was taking place before I felt strongly about it one way or the other. And who knows? Maybe I was curious how Nate Welch was going to translate to London. And he went over there and he killed it against Jack Traynor, A lot of times maybe this is all overblown in my head where I'm like, would that style translate to here? Because what we've seen more often than not, great joke writing translates to anywhere. I'm just saying I've seen Shalaka do it in more locations than Eli. I've seen her do it in Tokyo, in America, in Scotland, in London. So to me, that is where I'm going to give her the edge. Also, keep in mind, those two battles right there, For Eli, that was like his only battle on the slate. That was all of his prep. For Shaka, she wrote for 3 of the best battlers in one night. So it's not exactly apples to apples. Give me Shaka. I think if she could just focus on Eli and think about all the weird things he looks like, she's going to work some magic. So I'll take Shaka.
Yeah. And then Eli's going to come back with, how much of a female slur, an Indian slur, slurs, and then a funny, silly reference with inside those slurs, and we're all going to be like, this guy, he's the best, because he is.
Yeah, very, very possible. I mean, hey, we picked the best of the best for this thing today. It's not a fun exercise if we pick 2 people, one is really good and one sucks. So sound off in the comments. Let me know who you guys think would win these hypothetical battles. Aoda versus Keith Carey, Kim Congdon versus Heather Keith, and of course Shaka versus Eli. Leave your winners down below. Tell me what you think. This was fun, but I am excited for the season to start.
Yes.
We got one more of these. It's going to be next week. It's going to be this guy and maybe a guest host from the Bay Area. You're going up there for Roast Fest.
Opening day weekend, Roast Fest in Sacramento. If you don't have your tickets and you're in the Bay Area, Sacramento Punchline, go to roastbattleleague.com / what is that, punch up, or is it punchup.live / Roast Battle League?
Yeah, we'll put it on the screen. We'll make Colin
Ticks.
and post.
Go get your tickets. If you're in the Bay Area, come see us. I'll be out there. Pat's got some professional paid gig out somewhere fucking cool.
March 1st and 2nd in Sacramento.
Yeah.
I will be in Houston roasting some millionaire piece of shit for his birthday. And he's actually very nice. I'm just getting into roast mode. But yeah, I wish I could be there. It's going to be great. Opening day, March 1st. The season's coming up. Thanks for sticking with us through the long hibernating period of the offseason. It's almost time for the regular season. Go to roastbattleleague.com, grab some merch, grab some tickets, and check out the Patreon. Anything else?
Yeah, let's roast!